Saludos y bienvenidos a todos to the PGP podcast. Hey, everybody. Josh, the proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland, ISD, Garland, USA, North Dallas, ready to rock and roll with you all. And hopefully we have a ruckus maker around here. But you know what? Thank you for being here today. We know one thing, that part of these podcasts, part of the Fantastic Four Network, every Saturday with Super Saturday with Sean Hurt. You want to know about data? Call that cat. He'll square you away across the United States. He'll tell you how to dig into those scores and help your campus reach new heights. We have the culture ladies, the doctors, Dr. Shika Houston and Tammy. They will help you together with their whole real setup. They will help you out. And who can forget at 10:55, El Jefe, Principal Cafele. He is the man. We don't need to say much about that guy right there because he's always on fire. So thank you very much for being here and giving us some of your time. Please make sure that you like and share the show. Thank you. Last week was one of, if not the best show we've had. We had 21,000 views on Facebook alone. 21. That's something else. And we want to thank you. You right there. Wyoming, you. New York, I see you right there. Minnesota, North Carolina. Thank you very much for being here. So if you ever want to be part of this, if you ever want to be part of the Fantastic Four Network or be part of the show, we need you. It doesn't matter if you're in Maine or if you're in Florida, if you're in Alaska or you're in Hawaii, anywhere in the 48 middle, we need you because you know what? All of you bring experiences. All of you bring that knowledge that will ensure student success, that will ensure that we create beautiful leaders for the future because we're all builders. We're in the best profession, the profession that creates all the other professions, education, and we need your knowledge. So it doesn't matter if we've had bus drivers here, cafeteria workers, custodians, superintendents, national speakers, national authors. It doesn't matter what it is because we all learn from each other because iron sharpens iron. And we need to give a big shout out to our co-host who's in South Africa right now, Moreno. I don't know why you're climbing mountains in South Africa. I don't know what's up with you. After you left Tanzania and you helped out the village that you do, but we miss you. We love you. But you know what? We have been finding great hosts out there. Awesome hosts. And right now, out of North Carolina, we like to introduce Dr. Quisha Tillman. Part of the Fantastic Four. Welcome. Thank you for being part of this co-host today. Please tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
All right, Josh, I got to tell you, thank you so much for inviting me to be your co-host. I love your energy. The moment I met you at NCMLE, and that's the Middle Levels Educator Conference about 2-3 years ago. But I am Dr. Quisha Tillman. I'm an educator, principal, author, leader, and speaker with about 20 years of experience in the educational background. I had this is my second career, as a matter of fact. I was in mental health at one time, right after undergrad. And so I married the two, education and mental health. And now I was able to serve as the EC teacher for a few years. I spent about 6 years as an assistant principal in Cumberland County schools, and that's Fayetteville, North Carolina. Shout out to all my Cumberland County people. From there, I became principal of 71st Classical Middle School. It is a national blue ribbon school, and I currently am the leader of the Jack Britt High School and one of the state's premier high schools. So I also had the beautiful experience of being named 2022 Assistant Principal of the Year, not only for Cumberland County, but I went on in the name of Jesus to North Carolina State Assistant Principal of the Year. Not finished, went on to national recognition as the National Assistant Principal of the Year, all in 2022. And it has expanded my platform to advocate for leadership excellence across the county. I have been honored to serve on different podcasts such as Josh's and Principal Cafele episode 206. Check me out. I also have authored a couple of books that focuses on equity, emotional intelligence, and leadership ascent. And I've done a number of educational speaking engagements on the state and national stages, served on boards, mentoring emerging leaders, and I speak at universities like Columbia University. Fayetteville State University. So from Ivy League to real right here at home, I've been across the stage, and I am still committed to advancing the excellence in our field because I love being an educator and I love being around those who love our profession. We need more people that have the passion, the energy to bring to our educational leadership and our world of education so that we can groom not only future leaders to take this to new heights, higher heights and deeper depths, but to also bring in our kids, our loved ones, our scholars, our students, love on them. I am a big proponent for those who have a passion for children, and I want to be around those who are like-minded. So again, I am so honored to be on your show, Josh.
Love it. And in honor of you and this guy you might know, I'm gonna give you a Ric Flair. 1, 2, 3. Woo! A big Ric Flair for you right there. But you know the whole point of this show is that iron sharpens iron, and we always do little snippets to bring in authors to promote their books. Last week we had David Stack, who's working on his PhD and needed people. So hey, come on over. We need to learn and help each other. So real quick, a past guest of the PGP podcast de la ciudad de San Antonio, mi hermano, out of New York City. What's up, man? Hey, Martin, introduce yourself to the audience real quick and tell them about your book.
Hi, Josh and Quisha. Thank you so much. As always, I love all the energy, the passion, the people that love the field that we're in. And you're right, Josh, the field that creates all the other fields. So thank you both for all that you do and continue to do for our field. But I want to tell you a little bit about me. So I know I look way too young for this to be, but I am a fairly recently 2 years retired educator, state of Texas, 40 years all in elementary education, teacher, bilingual teacher, principal, assistant principal, and 33 of those 40 years were spent in school administration, a field that I love and that loved me back. And I have to say that was probably one of the best experiences ever professionally. And it was hard to give it up, so I didn't completely give it up. I retired. I published my first book in October of 2024, Sustaining Excellence, How Culture Drives Teacher Retention, to try to address the problem of how we're losing all our teachers, all our good teachers, all our, people want to go try to find, another place to work. And if we can get them to want to stay where we are by building a great culture for them, for not just the staff, but the students, the families, the community, then we have a much, much better opportunity to try to make a successful school. And so that was book number one. And then I've been working a ton of experiences working with early childhood, ages 0 to 5, 6, 7, Head Start, organizations that serve Head Start. I got to speak at the National Migrant Head Start Conference last year. Been working with teachers and leaders in the early childhood field, and I realized that there is a lack of, good educative material for early childhood teachers, for early childhood leaders, for caregivers, daycare workers, parents who have kids that are little. And, part of that, Josh, as you may know, is because I live that life. I am a parent of 3. And, I always tell people when I speak, my 3 kids now mean nothing to me because they have provided 7 grandkids. And so I have 7 grandkids, the oldest is 6, and he's in kindergarten. So I have a 6, a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, a 1, and a 10-month-old grandchild. Yes, all little ones. And so their future depends on early childhood educators doing a great job, because you can build a house on a very shaky structure and the house is going to collapse. But if we invest our mind power, our heart power on working with early childhood, we can create a structure that is going to sustain. And so I wrote a book. Can I show it to you? I wrote a book, just came out about a month or 2, well, not quite 2 months ago, about 6 weeks ago, called Little Learners, Big Potential, Guiding Early Learning with Purpose and Heart. And the idea of this book is to give early educators a good foundation on how to work with child development, how to incorporate play, because for little kids, play is learning, learning is play. We fight in the early childhood sector with state and local policies and procedures that try to push academic learning down, lower and lower. That doesn't really jibe with child development theory. And if I could condense it down to what my goal is that as a principal that worked with early childhood kids, pre-K 3, so 3-year-olds up to 5th grade, the worst thing that we could ever do as a school is take kids who come to us, inquisitive, excited, active, and we apply these arbitrary, guideposts to them, and we either consciously or unconsciously start calling them failures when they're 3. We start saying they're not meeting standards, they're not good enough. And if we could change that thinking, work on, like the power of the word yet. They don't know it yet. They're not there yet. They're going to get there. But to look at early childhood as more of a continuum and not look at, specific learning targets at a specific age, I think we can build a more equitable, a more powerful early childhood system for all our kids. And that, to me, as a parent, as a grandparent, as an educator, is what's important. And so that was the impetus for this book, Little Learners, Big Potential. And I'm just happy to share it with you guys today.
Good. Where can people get a hold of it right now?
They can find it on Amazon. If you just look up Martin Silverman on Amazon, you'll find both of my books there. And I'd love to have people get the book, talk about the book, share the book. It's getting ready to be holiday season here, and if you want a good gift for your child's pre-K teacher, your child's daycare provider, yes, get on it. On Amazon, Martin Silverman, you look it up and you'll find Little Learners, Big Potential.
Gotcha. And you know what? If you want to know about his first book, this cat came January the 5th of this past year, episode 35. So go back so you could hear from this guy. Plus, he also has a great podcast that's coming back again. The second question, which I asked during interviews, thanks to this young man right here. He'll be back, I think, February, March. We're going to do our schedules with Dr. Tillman and Martin so they could promote their books February or March. But Martin, thank you for being here today. Give the name of the book again.
The name of the book is Little Learners, Big Potential, Guiding Early Learning with Purpose and Heart.
Good, awesome. So send me put it on the private chat, Martin, so I can post it right now so everyone can pick it up, the information of it, okay?
All righty.
Gracias, hermano. Que Dios te cuide. I love you. Be safe on all the travels that you do, brother.
Yes, and it was so nice to meet you, Dr. Tillman.
You as well. You as well. Can't wait to chit chat with you later on.
You'll be back. Look, you two will be back together, all right?
Yes.
God bless you, brother.
Take care.
And without further ado, the OG. I don't recognize that guy because I'm used to this guy with a big beard, and he had that beard for like 10,000 years. He looked like a good old caveman right there. But the OG Ruckus maker that I've been listening to, this guy, he trips out because I'm listening to shows from 2025 or some 2019, 20. I love it. You got to get that foundational knowledge of a person by finding out the evolution. And let me tell you, he'll talk about his podcast. He'll talk about anything, but most importantly, about the most important part is changing education. We got to get away from 1970, baby. At least we got rid of those green scantrons in public education. That's one step. Thank God we're not doing the thank God we're not doing that or smelling them. Oh, smelling. At least we're one step away. And it's only the 21st century. So maybe by the 23rd century, maybe when we're reincarnated, we could come back with more evolution. But without further ado, Mr. Danny, our Ruckus maker, thank you for being here on the show, senor. I'll hand it over right now to Dr. Tillman. Stick.
All right, Danny, it is a pleasure. It is a pleasure to meet you. So one of my first questions for you, give the audience a brief background on the different roles that you serve while in education. And which one was your favorite and why?
Well, Josh, Dr. Tillman, thank you so much for having me on the show. I've been a beard model for decades, actually. And so Monday I got a facial, Josh. So I had to get your money's worth, bro. Right? You gotta, because if I didn't, I'd be like, right, getting 30%. So Dr. Tillman, you asked different roles in education and my favorite. All right. All of them mostly. So teacher, right? I worked as assistant principal. I worked in central office supporting Avid, in Chicago Public Schools. So that's basically the education background. Favorite would be teacher. I love being a teacher. I never wanted to be an administrator. Somebody forced me. They pulled my arm behind my back and they were bullying me. They put me in a corner, and until I said yes to become an admin, right, I was gonna get whooped. So I used to work out with my good friend Dre in Chicago, and he had just got his first principalship at a school called Brooks College Prep. Brooks is situated between Roseland and Pullman, where Barack Obama got his start as a young politician. And he told me, I need people I could trust on my team, right? So at that time I was at Kenwood, which speaking of former President Obama, that's kind of in his area. Hyde Park is where that school was, Kenwood. And anyways, I was loving teaching. I was the teacher of the year at the school, and working with a really dynamic staff, principal, and the kids were just absolutely amazing. And anyways, let's drop in the comments. Is Ghanaian jollof better than Nigerian? I want to hear from DaCosta what he thinks. Yeah, I just absolutely love teaching. He said, Daniel, I need you, and think about it. So I thought about it, and I started just seeing the opportunity to have a bigger impact. And so I joined the admin team with Dre. But teaching certainly was my favorite position. And honestly, even though now I support school leaders, I still think I'm a teacher, right? The classroom's just evolved. It's digital. We meet in a lot of virtual spaces. I host my own live events from time to time. And I still have students. They're just, they're bigger, a little surlier, right? And sometimes they're rocking a beard like me. So that's how to answer that question, Dr. Tillman.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm going to pass the baton back to my friend Josh.
Awesome. Well, before we get to the next question right there, welcome Dot McGeever Jeter, our coach that motivates us. Fantastic for Gracias out of Chi-Town. John Hurricks from Texas. David James, North Carolina. He's giving you kudos there, Dr. Tillman.
Thank you.
Edwin Garcia, the AP of the year in New Jersey. Great job, Edwin Garcia, past guest here. Da Costa, past guest from Ghana. Dr. Melissa Jones Chunu from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Arcela Austri. Next week, she will be on the podcast. Teacher Roundtable number 4. Man, Danny, let me tell you, brother, 3:15 in the morning, I'm getting ready. I drink them supplements, and I get to the gym, and I hear that little guitar, brother. Ding, 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 ding. You know what I'm talking about. I hear that.
Yeah, that's the old one. That's the old one. Yeah.
I'll get to you.
For sure.
I think I'll get to you by 2026. I'll catch up to you, but I will be doing it. My question to you is this. A big shout out to my sister from South Carolina, Shika Houston. We're licking our wounds with our Gamecocks being horrible this year. But Shika, love you. Nice seeing you there. Danny, what motivated you, my man? Because you know what? A lot of people know you. Tons of people know you. But I've learned in this, we're so cyclical and so many people are leaving our profession that people don't know who Cafela is. A lot of people don't know who Jimmy Casas is. It's just cyclical. People, and to us, because this is our niche. So we're good. I went to go see anime yesterday, Danny, and I was lost. My son was saying it. The whole theater was full of anime people, and they all were laughing. I was like in an acid trip. What is going on here? So we're all in niches. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
that makes
please
sense.
tell the audience out there, Danny, how did you get involved in education? What or who inspired you to become that teacher that you love being? And most importantly, how did your parents help you out get to this part of your life professionally?
Well, I think inspiration in terms of becoming a teacher, I'm speaking with my best friend's dad, Mr. Brogan, right? And his son, Johnny, and I, like, we're super tight. I'd whoop his butt in basketball all the time. He just could not stop me. But the thing that Johnny was like amazing at is he had everything, right? And I saw the Brogan family, and I really like thought about like it just seemed that they were the picture of everything you could want, right? And so, like, Johnny had all the, what I'm trying to say, Johnny had all the new Jordans. I never had a pair of Jordans growing up, and I wanted them. I wanted them badly, but our family just, it wasn't going to work, in terms of affording them and stuff. And Mr. Brogan worked at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, trading stocks and bonds and that kind of stuff. And so, again, they were like the epitome of success for me. They had a second house in Galena. They had like the really nice car, one of those Jeep Wagoneer types, like back in the day with the wood paneling. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
The Walkman, listening to Public Enemy, going up to that house, I remember.
Yeah.
And they had it all. And so my father wasn't in the picture, right? When I knew Johnny, he disappeared 4th grade. And so I asked Mr. Brogan as I was, entering high school and starting to think about the future, what should I consider in terms of college and that kind of thing. And I thought he'd say, like, get into business or do this and that. And he said, if I could ever do it over, Danny, I would make my life more meaningful and have a job that was more impactful. I would have been a teacher. And in that moment, right, I was like, whoa, that's a big deal. Because he was the picture of success, to me. And he's telling me, be a teacher. And honestly, that's all it took. Like, I enjoyed school. I had fun. I got pretty good grades. I got in trouble and stuff like that, because I am a ruckus maker. But I knew how to navigate school as well. And I had some teachers that like really saw me and were a big impact as well. So that was a huge decision. I also think back to 3rd grade. Shout out to Mrs. Bierman, who she really like made education and learning come to life. And I can remember one of the first books that I read back then was Danny and the Dinosaur, right? So many kids at that age, they love dinosaurs and that kind of thing. And her big event in 3rd grade was to take us to the Chicago Field Museum, where they have Sue, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's this like massive, right, reconstruction of a T-Rex. And we visited that. We learned all about dinosaurs that year. We also had like a really pretty cool Thanksgiving play that I had a killer role. You want to hear the line? I still remember my line.
Tell it. We're ready. Go, bring it.
Okay. I slammed the table, right, with a spoon, and I said, "I'm hungry. Let's eat." That's it. That was the last line, right? And the crowd went crazy. And right, just like you're doing right now. And since then, I've been on stages and speaking and telling stories. But Mrs. B really made learning come to life in the classroom. So big shout out to her as well. You asked about parents. I mean, they invested in me. They always believed in me, pushed me to be my best, that kind of thing, and made the opportunities available. My mom works very, very hard as a single mom, to make ends meet. And so I see the everything she had to do to make that happen for us, right? The sacrifice. So I appreciate her. She herself never went to college, right? And so like us navigating that, like I was so stupid back then. And honestly, like they didn't have the intense pressure that schools put on kids these days. Like you need these reach schools and you need the fit schools and whatever all the names are these days. I don't even know. You know how many schools I applied to? I want y'all to guess. 0? Well, you'd be wrong because I went to college. So Josh, you're out. Get you out. Dr. Tillman, what do you think? It's more than 0.
I'm going to say 10.
Okay, and 10. So between the two of you, within that range, there's the right answer. Neither of you are correct, but that's okay, right? We were playing a game. I applied to one school. Somehow I got in. What would I have done if the University of Illinois said, nope, like you didn't make the cut? I have no idea. But out of luck, God, universe, however, your beliefs, whatever, I got in and that was that. So lucky me.
Thank you for sharing that. And most importantly, you know what, right now, my sick algorithm is caught with people that dislike education and their educators. Listen to that story right there, guys. Listen to what Danny just told you. That 3rd grade teacher made a connection with him. You are in the best profession. You're in the best profession out there. You don't know the ripple effect that you create when you show a dinosaur. You don't know the connection that you do. And sometimes it takes us longer to really get that effect. So don't be dissuaded by your algorithm of negativity. Because know that there's millions of us out there trying to make a difference every single last day for these kids at risk. So I'm not putting down people that are upset in their cars crying on TikTok. I'm not. That's how you feel. That's fine. But you know what? There's more of us out there making sure that we do all things possible for our scholars to rock and roll and may apply at one. Hey, I barely got into UTEP, Danny, and I was on probation. And they let anyone into UTEP, all right?
Yeah,
University
right
of
on.
Texas at El Paso. I was such a dummy that they let me in on probation, bro. All right. So they let
You got
it
him.
was like a Mexican thing right there, a Mexican quota. I was part of the quota, baby. I
Oh
got
my
in.
goodness.
So I'm just telling you right now.
Look
But
at us now. Look at us now, though.
right,
Hey,
right.
I want to say something though about those attitudes, right? And
Please.
you got to understand, like in terms of a mental model, this one's called the map is not the territory. So maybe kids these days wouldn't know, but back in the day, right, with Apple Maps, early Apple Maps, Google Maps, I'm talking a long time ago. They would give you wrong directions, right? Like not all the time, but sometimes you'd be going somewhere. And I remember trying to go to a concert in Chicago, and I ended up in some alley, right? There was no venue there. There was no theater or bar or club. Like it was just off. But that was my fault because I was following the map, right? Which brought me to a destination which was incorrect. And I wasn't really aware of my surroundings. That's what social media is these days. And people need to understand, the algorithms and all that kind of stuff. It's on there to provoke you, to keep you hooked. You know what I mean? And so they're going to feed you stuff that makes you upset. Do you understand that? Right? You're going to get a steady stream of negativity. And then you start believing that this is real life. It is not. It is some people's stories.
Mhm.
And now these days too, right? Not only the algorithm, but with AI and all the bots, half that stuff ain't even a human.
Right.
And you're believing it, thinking it's your truth. And now thinking that education all of a sudden is like broken and like, not a valiant profession and all this kind of stuff. Cut that out. Like you got to think for yourself, put down the phone, right? Talk to some human beings. And yeah, man, you got to get yourself shook up out from there. Map is not the territory.
I agree with you. And you know what? Cafele talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago on the show. We need a big McKinney Mutombo. Remember when he would block his shots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Not in my house.
No.
Not in my house.
No.
Yeah.
Or you could do Duran. No mas. No mas. That's right.
Mhm.
We are in the best profession. Stick.
Yeah, we need to say si se puede, right? Like that's what we need to be about.
Puras ganas, compa. Con puras ganas.
Yeah, that's right.
Go, Doc.
All right, I love it. I love it. I'm enjoying the conversation. So, Danny, I'm the type of person, if I see something, I have to say something, especially if it's positive. And I already like your authenticity, your transparency, and I value that. I love conversations where we all, like the kids can say, keep it 100. I don't think that we can get better in education, especially in educational leadership, until we're honest and authentic. So, with that said, my next question for you is, with all the interactions and conversation and experiences that you have, because you're kind of a big deal. I mean, let's be honest, you're kind of a big deal. With all that, what is your opinion of education post-COVID and the state of our scholars' academic development?
I'd argue that I'm not that big a deal. I'm just a regular guy, right? I did pick up a microphone and I work hard and I'm consistent. And my timing, I couldn't have guessed, right, what was about to happen with podcasts and stuff. But the big insight there for anybody watching is that I chose myself, right? Like there were not many barriers to stop me, but most people love to talk about doing stuff and they never do it. So I do want to say that, right? Like I chose myself and I put myself out there and then I was consistent. And I also, if I've had any kind of success, I've done my best to create value, to build a reputation of being generous, you know what I mean, and over deliver. And that kind of stuff, it takes care of you if that's how you show up in the world. You were asking about like the state of school post COVID
Right.
and how our learners are doing. Is that
Mhm.
what you said?
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear of the challenges because I coach school leaders, right? I don't necessarily work with teachers these days, and so we have one-on-one, coaching calls. We have this leadership community called the Mastermind. People write in, they'll respond to emails and that kind of stuff. I know that there are challenges out there for sure. Um, I also know that when you're not doing it alone, right, and doing it together in a community, uh, it's amazing how you can navigate those challenges and figure out solutions, right? So I don't know. The way I see it is like it comes back to mindset and kind of like how we're talking about social media and like your curated algorithm and what you choose to pay attention to. You understand that? It's like the story of the wolves, right? The good wolf and the bad wolf, like which one's going to win? The one you feed. So if you want to keep talking about like how bad the kids are, the learning loss, or how tough things are, and the parents are crazy and all this kind of stuff, well, that's what you're gonna get, right? And I'm not saying nothing like toxic positivity or ignoring bad things. Bad things do happen, and then you learn from them, right? But do you have a support system and that kind of stuff? So generally speaking, I just, my sort of position is don't work in isolation. Isolation is the enemy of excellence, whether it's in a community that I might offer or the, plethora. There's multitudes of other communities that are out there. Get connected and don't do the work alone.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
So welcome,
Oh, and
Jefe.
you know what? I have to add something else. People got a nasty habit. People being adults, meaning your staff, people meaning your students as well. They meet your expectations. So whether your expectations are incredibly high or very low, they're going to meet that. And so, people pick up on how you feel about them, right? Like, do you
Mhm.
understand that? And they say, I don't know if it's 90% or whatever of communications like body language. You, I'm a wordsmith. I love to tell stories and that kind of thing. But I also know that my face is communicating something, my posture and all this other stuff. And again, the kids, the staff, they know if you believe in them or not just by how you are showing up in the classroom, your presence. So one other like really short story. Can I do that? Do I get
Please,
Please.
you
permission?
do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Es tu programa.
So I'm in my backyard cutting the grass, listening to a podcast about parenting. And I'm listening as a sixth grade teacher. I don't have children at the time. And I'm just thinking of like different ways to connect with my students and to work with them. Name of the podcast and that kind of stuff doesn't matter. But I hear this guy talking about how he'd work with his son and how he had this epiphany that his son found it really funny when he lost his cool, when he, wasn't in control of his emotions, when he bit the hook, so to speak. His son found that like super, super funny. Because an adult that's out of control to kids, like this is like entertainment.
Mhm.
And then he started talking about the different types of responses he would use with his son. And he was teaching this to parents to use with their kids. But it was all this kind of like, I don't know if y'all like the Star Wars or not, but it was like Jedi mind tricks, right? It was all these middle of the road sort of answers to things that his son would say to him to try to get him riled up.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know about you, probably not you two, probably not our listeners, but I've heard out there in education, certainly my story, I've had kids say some crazy stuff. And you might assume incorrectly that my toughest students were on the far south side of Chicago. No, they were lovely. They were so awesome. My hardest kids were sixth grade students in Champaign, Urbana. Those kids, oof, if I saw them on the streets today, I'd run the other way, right? They were tough. And they'd say the craziest stuff to me, right?
Yeah.
Cursing you out, telling you how you're like a terrible teacher, all this kind of thing. And so they might say, Mr. Bauer, you suck. You're a terrible teacher. I'm never doing your homework. And all of a sudden, after I listened to this podcast, I'd start responding, that could be, probably so, maybe. And they say, what are you talking about, Bauer? Right? I just told you, you suck. I'm not doing your homework, da da da. And I had all these middle of the road type, it wasn't that I was ignoring. I just wasn't clashing and engaging and sparring with students anymore. And once I made that shift, they stopped saying all that stuff to me. Because before it was out of entertainment. They wanted to see me lose my cool. And I did. I got mad. I took it personally. It's a little punk, like 4 foot, you know what I mean? Munchkin saying that to me, an adult. Not today, right? I was taking all that personally. And it started just like bouncing off me like I was Superman with bullets. You know what I mean? And that day was the last day that I wrote kids up. And I was a teacher probably like 6, 8 years after that moment. I stopped writing up kids. So, you know, I found that very interesting as well. And it's kind of back to the question, like working with students and this kind of stuff. It's like, are you going to take things personally? You know, it's an inner game, right? What we're doing here in terms of education. And if you can master the inside, all the stuff you want to see on the outside, it's amazing how it could happen for you because you've done the difficult inner work.
Right. Oh, that's good. Snaps,
Thank you.
everybody. That's really
Hey,
good.
snaps. I love it.
Love it.
So true, Danny. So true. Exactly. Just don't bite. I tell our team members, why are you biting? They're sending the hook. Don't bite. Don't fall for it. Jesus
They
Christ.
fell into the trap. Yeah.
Exactly. Jefe, I know your G-men are down, so you're watching the Bears. You remember you're
No, don't say nothing. I'm not. I got the.
No. I'm
game
not just
recorded.
making no. Because Principal Cafela said he's watching the Bears game. That's why.
Yeah, but I don't want to know nothing about the Bears.
We're not going to mention it at all, sir. Not at all, sir. Not at all.
Okay. Thank
All
God.
right, well, you know what? You, my man, you're known as the Ruckus Maker, and then this Hispanic had to look up how to spell Ruckus. So I finally found that.
You do your own thing.
I needed to learn just something. And so please, again, a lot of people know you. You work with a lot of administrators, a lot of educators out there. For years you've been doing this. So where did this, you got to give them the origin story, like always, the Marvel origin story, all right?
Of Ruckus
So
Makers?
where does Ruckus Maker come from? And why do we need, Danny? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué necesitamos Ruckus Makers today?
Porque it's the only way to do education, right? Because to me, you know, there is like old broken traditional ways that aren't serving students, right? Clearly you could see that, you know, kids not coming to school. Like, why is that, right? And there's obviously a variety of reasons, but you could distill it down. Like, I wonder if you're creating a campus experience that's worth showing up for. So to me, like that Ruckus Maker point of view is making shifts from old broken traditional ways of educating to new, different, and creative ways. And then I do like to say, let's reimagine what's possible in this project of school, even within a very traditional container, so that we create those campus experiences, you know, we're showing up for. That whole idea came from a mentor named Seth Godin. He's a big time intellectual marketer, speaker. You know, I'm sure a lot of the audience is heard of Seth. And oftentimes he would sign off on stuff saying, go make a ruckus, right? I read all his books. I've done many of his digital courses. He had a cohort, live cohort program called the Alt MBA that I did years ago. And then I became a coach, you know, for that program also for years. And so the make of ruckus ethos was always like sort of inside me. But something that I've learned too, in terms of like building a platform or a brand and connecting with an audience, is you got to, you know, it's good to have a name, right? And so I decided, well, if this work has impacted me so much and I want folks to do school different, I want them to be creative and innovative and imaginative. Let's call them Ruckus Makers. Like, that's what we're going to do. And it's stuck. Now, the interesting thing, right, Josh and Dr. Tillman, is that I'll write about the Ruckus Maker stuff, right, on social. And yes, educators resonate, but so does the rest of the world, right? And so now that's something I'm thinking a little more deeply about, because I'm 10 years into this game in education. But people want to make an impact. They want their work to matter. Not everybody wants to fit inside the mold, right? And they want to do their own thing. And so I think that's the path of the Ruckus Maker. That's the origin story.
Thank you, brother, for sharing. Appreciate you. Thank you. Stick.
Yes.
All right. Hey, everyone. If you're not joining the conversation, you're missing out. If you're enjoying this show, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can join the conversation. It, as you can already tell, is worthwhile. So make sure you follow at Josh Tovar on YouTube for even more great content. Shout out to Principal Kafele. So next up, okay, this is another heavy hitter that I'm about to give to you, Danny, on Jimmy Cassis podcast, another person I follow and I admire. You told a story about how you left principalship. Would you mind telling that story again for our listeners? So, maybe some administrators are on tonight, and we all, and I can be honest, we all face the situation. Kind of talk to us about why you started Better Leaders, Better Schools.
Well, starting Better Leaders, Better Schools, that was to close my leadership gap, right? And this is a little bit of origin story too, but it didn't have to do with Ruckus Makers. I was at a event called the Global Leadership Summit. It was put on by a church, and the guy who put it on from the stage says, "Everyone wins when a leader gets better," right? And so that was like a really impactful statement because I was like, oh, now I feel the weight, the responsibility of leadership, right? And what am I doing for myself to get better? Now, I was at the event, I was connecting, networking, really getting a tons of value, taking notes, and that kind of thing. But honestly, when I took an inventory of the rest of the calendar, there was nothing on it. I didn't have a coach, right? I didn't have some sort of community. Of course, I read books, which is good, but right, like how was I truly, truly, truly getting better as a leader if my community also sort of got a positive result, right, from that? Kind of goes back to JFK's like a rising tide lifts all ships or lifts all boats. It's the same sort of idea. So that's why I started the show. That was in 2015. And I wanted to close my gaps. I figured if I talked to Josh and learned from his stories of success and failure, I'd get better, right? If I talked to Dr. Tillman and you gave me one idea that I can implement and I actually took action, because again, most people talk, most people absorb, few actually do, right? And so that was my project, making me better, but doing it in public, right? Via the podcast. What I didn't realize is that would change a lot of my life, open many doors. And now it's like what I get to do. So, rewind probably back to 2017. I started the show in 2015. It might have been 2016. But I went down to Texas, and got a principalship. They knew about the podcast, it was on the resume. Like, it was kind of stupid that when I think about that I put it on there, but I don't know. I put it on there because I was coaching school leaders and I kind of thought that was cool. Like, it gave me some credibility or something. And we really hit it off in the interview. I mean, I got the job, but they were also talking about interesting stuff like Edward Deming's work and where people closest to the problem, empowering them to solve the problems, like a great thing to do. It's decentralized leadership. It's like flowing down to people. And we were just like riffing, jamming, like having a great time, got the job. And I'm working with my supervisor. We would go to classes, observe, and like basically then sit down for like, how would you coach this teacher? How would you debrief? Finishing each other's sentences. So you could say that we were aligned, right? And like lockstep with each other. So imagine my surprise, right? Sometime, maybe mid-October, I'm with my supervisor. We're sitting, at like a wooden bench in this beautiful courtyard at our middle school. And we were doing the same stuff. We had observed. Now we're going to talk about the teachers. And they say, I got to bring something up, Danny. All right, well, tell me what you got to tell me. I've got serious concerns about your leadership. Word? About me, right? Okay. That could be. I certainly know I have leadership gaps. That's why I started the podcast. This was my first principalship. So I knew that I was messing stuff up, not intentionally, but you're new, you're gonna make some mistakes, and Those are great teachers. You learn from them. Serious concerns, though, this was the first time in my life that I heard that kind of feedback. Prior to this, right? Chicago Central Office with Avid, or assistant principal at Brooks. I already told you, teacher of the year at Kenwood. I could go on and on. I've led the departments, the grade levels. I've won the awards. You know what I'm saying? And I've always gotten glowing reviews. And now I'm in a space where I'm hearing essentially, you're a problem. And that was really strange for me. So I had to reflect and think about like what's going on here. And then again, map is not the territory sort of stuff. In real time, I knew I had great relationships with students, great relationships with the majority of the staff. Of course, there were some staff who, we didn't get along. I got tremendous and abundant amount of feedback from parents about how happy they were, right? But I'm hearing from one person, that there's trouble. And it just wasn't adding up. After that initial conversation about the serious concerns, I started getting written up every week, literally every Friday. This was like, hey, go have a good weekend, right? Prior to the weekend, though, come to my office. I'm going to tell you why you suck and like all these reasons, right? There were stuff that, I swung and missed on that were on the write-ups. Like, oops, I should not have done that. There was stuff like, you were 1 minute late to work. What do you mean 1 minute late to work? I don't punch in. You know what I'm saying? There's no time clock. Where were you getting this from? And I came to find out because I had some people on the inside, right? They're watching me on the cameras. Why are you watching me on the camera? You ain't got stuff to do, right? You know what I'm talking about? I got written up for the podcast, right? That posts would be going out into public from my social, and it's not a good look, right? You should be at school working, which I totally get that. And I said, that's reasonable. I use a scheduling service so I can turn that off, right? And whatever. I could keep going on, but it's not about dragging them through the mud. So Christmas comes around. I come back from Christmas. I'm in the supervisor's office and I turn in my resignation letter. She laughs. I didn't think you would resign this fast. And I said, I see the writing on the wall. I ain't stupid, right? I'm clearly not wanted here, which is fine. I will go on with my life. I've got plenty of stuff that I could do, plenty of stuff I want to do. And can we come to an agreement on this piece? And that was that. I kept getting written up after that moment. And it wasn't until I met with HR and I said, this is starting to feel like, a little bit of workplace, abuse or like, bullying, like what is going on here? And once I started using those words, the write-up stopped, but it was just weird, right? I will say that hurt, It was hard not to internalize that and take it personally and have it define who I was. And I was mad for a while. And I wanted to think like, how could I prove them wrong, And then I'm in my mom's kitchen. She lived in Florida. The sun was shining through the windows. I pull up Amazon. My book is a #1 bestseller on Amazon. My bank account says I'm making more money now than when I was a principal. And I felt in that moment that the sun melted my cold, icy heart. So anything I felt in terms of like getting people back or, like how 50 is with Puffy. I didn't hold on to it, right? There's no documentary coming or anything like that. And I decided I'm actually grateful that this happened. Because if I didn't have such a difficult experience there, and if I would have thrived like I did everywhere else in my life and everywhere else after that moment, like I continued to thrive, I would have gotten comfortable. I probably would not be talking to you two right now, right? I wouldn't have written 5 books, 3 bestsellers. I wouldn't have spoken to crowds as small as 10 in Laramie, Wyoming, or 1,000 in Mombasa, Kenya, right? I wouldn't have coached God knows how many school leaders I've coached at this point, right? And so it was hard. It was really hard. I got through it. I let go of the grudge, no documentary coming. And now I'm grateful that that challenge had happened.
That was a beautiful, beautiful story of overcoming and succeeding in spite of. So many of our administrators needed to hear that story right there, dealing with the same thing. I love it.
Can I add two more things? These won't be stories. These are just insights I've had since then. So 2 things. I didn't know back then that I now know. And actually, what's kind of funny, let me show you. So this book here, The 48 Laws of Power. Yeah, I don't know if y'all ever read this. So interestingly, number 1 on that list is never outshine the master, right? That's law number 1. And hindsight's 2020. This is, yeah, I think it is 2016, even if it's 2017. The kind of educator I am was sort of like also a platform and stuff going on in the background. I don't, districts didn't know what to do with that. So I do believe on some level, I was seen maybe as a threat, right? And is he trying to outshine this district, right? And I was at the top school in the district and all this kind of stuff. So I think that was a mistake, And if I had known, I would have made maybe some different choices. Also, interestingly, speaking of 50 and Puffy, Robert Greene, who wrote the 48 Laws of Power, he wrote one called the 50th Law, which tells 50 Cent's story and how he is fearless and why he's been such a success. So that's a cool book to check out too. The other insight that I've had, I've coached multiple school leaders that have become either national, state, regional principal of the year, right? And they are so stoked about that. And then immediately off the celebration of winning that distinction and award, they get put on an improvement plan. Never outshine the master, right? Some superintendents got an ego, right? That's so fragile that if a principal is doing some good work, they get put on improvement plans. Now, I'm not saying all, but there are some, and I've coached a few. And that's amazing to me that you could be a state principal of the year and then get an improvement plan and a coach, right? Like a district assigned coach. Unbelievable.
But Danny, I gotta piggyback on that one.
Let's do it.
How is it that you give your best to the county, to the scholars, to the stakeholders that you are working with? And not that you mean to outshine, but how do you live your best life as an educator and still do these wonderful things and not kind of dumb yourself down or hide behind all the accolades and love and applause that you get, that just so happens to follow you?
Yeah, that could be a dissertation. I joked with Josh that we could do a 24-hour, let's do the first 24-hour podcast. But the simple answer is just understanding sort of the political map of the school system and the personalities and the egos that are all involved. And I could probably predict the type of systems that are going to put a principal who wins an award on an improvement plan because of that leadership, right? And so there's just an awareness there and some political savviness that you kind of need to have to navigate it, right? So you can still do it well, but you just got to understand the environment in which we all exist in systems. We're all a part of a system, and so you just need to understand what kind of system that you're in. They're not all like that, right? Those are just the worst ones, and that's why I'm talking about it, because it causes a lot of pain, a lot of harm. It's unfair, it's ridiculous, but it's also life. Now, I will say this: you can then respond and be a victim, right? And feel really sorry for yourself, or you can learn and then figure out what your next step's going to be. And I do want to encourage everybody watching this too. You have power, right? It's not like people are flocking to our industry. News, in case y'all didn't know, right? There was a news flash just now, right? People are leaving. And so for teachers and for administrators, you've got options. Now, sometimes obviously you might have a family, right? A house and a mortgage. And so it's not just as easy as like moving across the nation or whatever. But but there are options if you have some flexibility and you have an open mind and you're not like tied to the one spot where you're at.
Thank
Easy
you.
for me to say. Yeah. No problem.
Thank you for sharing that. And when you told that story, you know what? Something similar happened to me. I was moved from assistant principal to the bus barn for 2 years. I had to move all my stuff from. Or on Friday, I was told you're in charge of the bus barn or you're in charge of HVAC. And on Monday, I had all my stuff at the bus barn. That's fine. It's politics. It goes with it. Rule number one: always,
Yeah.
always. I agree with you, and that'll come in my. If I ever write a book, that story will be right there. But just exactly what you said. I never gave him the pleasure to see me not do 100%. So I was not working with kids anymore, but those bus drivers still love me because you know what? If you're in the right game and you're there for people, it doesn't matter what. And number two, our Lord has a plan for you, and He will always put you where He needs you, and He's taking you away from the evil that was going to stab you in the back, and He's going to open a brand new door. So some of us don't see it that way, and I don't care if you're religious or not. I'm telling you, it's happened to me a lot politically. I'm telling you right now, God takes you away from a poisonous situation, and He will put you where He needs you so that you are the best version of yourself and inspire others with your hard work and dedication. So don't get beat down, like Danny says. You can't let them win because you know what? You have a greater purpose, and He will guide you that way. That's
Amen. Amen. I love it. Love it.
Big shout out to Central Hicks. Thank you, Carnal, for being here. My brother from the Fantastic Four, Sean Hurt. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Love you. All right, Danny. I don't know, but let's start off with a 12-hour podcast. Cory Booker showed
Before
us
24, yeah.
Yeah, Cory Booker showed us we could do 24 hours.
We should get engaged before getting married. I'm coming on
let's do
strong.
like if you want 6, we'll get for sure we got 6 down. Easy. Then we could push to 12, but it is what it is. So real quick, look, I don't know what number are you on right now with podcasts. I'm still in.
God only knows, bro. I don't even know what season I'm on anymore. I've stopped counting. I can tell you. Listen, since September, I will tell you this: since September 2nd, 2015, right? I haven't missed a week.
Exactly.
So how 52 times 10 years plus bonus shows?
I'm a history teacher, brother. I don't know unless it's on a script right there.
But it's more than 10. Let's just say that.
It's more exactly.
Yeah.
So please tell the audience 2 things. All right. Please tell the audience what was the genesis of that. Why did you start the podcast? As you said a little bit about it before you went into that school. Why you were ahead of the game, right? You were Joe Roganish. Starting off a podcast before that, it was the norm. And who's your target audience right now? Because I want people to go tune into you. It's a great me. I'm in the show. I'm in the business year 33, and I'm learning from you from 2021. I'm an old fart, but I need to learn from people like you. Does that make sense? Because you bring in different perspectives that is not North Dallas. I need to learn different perspectives and different ways of viewing kids because it's such a transient profession that we have. So why did you start it? Who is your current target audience for the podcast? And tell us about the Mastermind project. It's a beautiful thing that you do with leaders. Talk to the people about the Mastermind.
Yeah. So, I basically told the story why I started was to close those leadership gaps, and here's the other thing too, which is really interesting. And it's still true today. I got to talk to people like they would never talk to me, right? You know what I mean? But I had a show, and then the show started to pick up, a little bit of heat. And so then it was a little bit easier. Like, I will tell you this. Here's an interesting, let me tell you a story of kind of failure, and I could have quit. 2 stories of almost failure and about to quit. One, I paid a high school student named Tyler, right? As I was at Brooks, I said, here's the top 50 schools in America and the principals, right? In their emails. Here's a message you can send them. Tell them I'm starting this podcast and I'd love to interview them. And of those 50 principals, absolutely 0 responded affirmatively that they wanted to be on the show. So to your point, ahead of the game and that kind of thing, nobody wanted to tell their story. I couldn't believe it. And so I thought, like, well, shoot, this is my project. Do I quit now? Right? I decided not to quit, obviously. And the way I pivoted, because that was just feedback, I turned to Twitter, right, which was really hot at the time. And we used to have all those Twitter chats and that kind of thing. And I just found people that were talking about the work in education, and I invited them on the show. So that's how I got the early guests. So I didn't, give up. And then from there, the rest is history. But within that first year, too, I interviewed the principal of the #1 school of the entire state of Illinois, which was Walter Payton College Prep, right? And we had a lovely conversation. And I lost the recording. I don't know where it went. It wasn't on Dropbox. It wasn't on my hard drive. I don't know where that recording to this day went. And I asked Tim if we could re-record, right? And he said no. So I was thinking, man, maybe I'm not cut out for this. And I almost quit back then too. But then I decided, oh, that's just crazy talk. So I kept on going. So those are some stories of failure, but just like believing in yourself and, sticking with it. Then you also asked about the mastermind. Did I answer everything you wanted to know about the podcast?
Who's your current target audience?
The current anybody that aligns with that point of view, that Ruckus makers do school different, right? So if you want to reimagine the project of school within the traditional setting and create campus experiences worth showing up for, right? If you sort of like, navigate the world to your own beat, you know what I mean? You're not told what to do, like you're riding the music as you go along, then this is a show for you. You know what I mean? That's how I try to explore the project of school. And I do have some wild guests, like a lot from education, but we'll bring in people too that have nothing to do with education, but have an interesting perspective. And then I try to think about like, how do we bridge that gap, maybe from industry to, education? What can we learn? So I think that's the audience. In terms of the mastermind, that's a leadership community that we started in 2016. You know how you say iron sharpens iron, right? I joined a mastermind back in the day called Iron Sharpens Iron. And I was in that for 6-7 years. And the interesting thing, and something I've learned about myself, like I'm a sponge. You know what I mean? Like I used to call myself a sponge that scales. As I got wet, like I got bigger. But that's because like I love learning, absorbing from all walks of life. And then I think about, how does this benefit my audience or my clients or myself or whatever? And that's just like how I navigate the world. And so anyways, I'm having this mastermind experience at the time, thinking about what can I do with the podcast? And then the light bulb went off and I thought, man, education can be so isolating. There's conferences and stuff. And I mean, let's be honest, for many districts, when they bring you together, they're just talking at you. There's not a lot of being able to collaborate and challenge each other's thinking and stuff. And it's a little scary and vulnerable to admit like where you need help, especially in front of your peers that you work with, especially in front of your supervisor. So I figured, let me bring this mastermind thing to our industry. And I was the one who did, right? I even wrote a book about it called Mastermind. It was published with Corwin and the Superintendents Association, and that became my first bestseller. But we've been meeting in that container since 2016. It's literally a weekly experience, right? It's kind of like AA in that, it's there for you. If you need to connect, if you need support, we are here, right? And people are connecting outside of the like cohort experience too. And through an hour, we're sharing tips of the week. We're sharing what works, what doesn't work. We're reading different books. Right now, we're starting a book by Dory Clark about long-term thinking in a sort of short-term attention span world. So you can see how that would be helpful. And then the best part of the whole experience is what's called the hot seat. And that's where, I might sit on the hot seat and talk about my problem, and I get to leverage the experience of Josh, the experience of Dr. Tillman, and you would both help me get better in that moment, right? You would first ask clarifying questions, dig for context, and then you would start challenging my thinking. And ultimately, at the end of the hour, you've solved your #1 problem. That's obviously really cool for you when you're on the hot seat, I've actually found, and members have told me, being outside the hot seat's actually even more impactful because you're reminded of what you should be doing. You hear about stuff before it even happens at your school. So now you're proactive. Feels good to help others. And then most importantly, imagine being able to crack open all three of our minds right now and people could see how it works. Like people are, they're dialoguing about here's a challenge or here's a goal that I'm working on. And they get to hear how other people in the same seat navigate the same stuff. That is invaluable right there. And so that's the mastermind community.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much. And I think you have something coming up on Thursday, right?
Yeah, folks are welcome to join. It's a free experience. I'm calling it the Confident Principal, your 2026 Ruckus Maker Success System. And like how we've been talking about the inner game of leadership, I'm going to be teaching 3 things that I've actually never taught in public before in terms of how to prepare yourself so you can master that inner game and just have a really successful year. So it's going to be a 75-minute, experience. How do you get your invite? You might be asking me. Folks that are on the email list, so ruckusmakers.news is where you can subscribe. I'll be inviting people Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and folks can, jump in that way. Or if you just want to send me an email, that kind of thing, Danny@ruckusmakers.news, I can get you the info too.
Muchas gracias, hermano. Stick.
All right. So now my next question for you, Danny, is all about what you just talked about, collaboration. I believe, and for all the listeners, I believe collaboration is so powerful, so impactful. As the ruckus maker, okay, we know that having a strong school culture is essential. And many new administrators are being hired due to the mass exodus in our field, okay? Tell the audience how leaders can create strong culture that will lead to real change as a ruckus maker. Talk to us.
So I have a tool called the Positive Spotlight tool. So that might be something actionable, and that's a free download too. I could find the address really quick if you want. So that's something. And as I'm looking it up, spoiler alert, like when you do the deep work on yourself, you do create cultures that people want to be a part of. And when you don't do that, like people flee, right? Because you suck to be around. And there's no nice way to say it, right? Like this is like elementary stuff. But if you go to betterleadersbetterschools.com/resources, there's a tool called the Positive Spotlight tool that if you choose to download it, you can. But I'll run through it with you if you want. I don't know if you want me to share a screen or not, but I could tell you what it's all about. There's a few parts to it because I think you want me to share a screen or just talk about it. It's up to you.
Your call, brother. It's your time. Whatever you feel more comfortable with.
Okay, here. Let's see where it is on the.
No, don't ask this caveman how the sharing screen happens on Restream.
No, I got it. It should be good. No, it never came up. I don't think. All right, I'll just talk about
it. Something popped up.
Try it again. It did?
Yeah, I just gotta bring it forward.
Oh, you gotta give me the power, Josh. Give me the power. Oh, yeah, we got it. So this is it, and everything I teach, I try to keep it real simple for leaders. They try to make leadership complex. It doesn't have to be. Keep things simple, guys. Now, what I want you to see is that celebrate column. That's what every school does. That's what many people do. They're pretty good at it, right? And then they stop there, and that's the problem, right? So, Dr. Tillman, you're asking, you're asking great questions, and Josh, your enthusiasm is infectious. Okay, and that feels good in the moment, and then what? This Positive Spotlight tool, when you use it, you get even more of what you want when you want it, right? And like Earl Nightingale says, you can see in that quote, he wrote a book called The Strangest Secret. The strangest secret, the punchline of the book, is we become what we think about. See how everything we're talking about is all related? This is the algorithm too. Here's how to replace the algorithm in your teacher's minds. Use the Positive Spotlight tool. The other interesting thing I'll say right here too is, I teach this to principals. Principals use it with their staff. And then staff members that use this with students have really powerful classroom cultures. So don't stop at celebrating. Now tell me why it's important. That's significance, right? And so you just dive into that. Then you connect it to your values. So hopefully you have some core values at your school or within a class that are meaningful, deeply meaningful. And if you do, then connect what you're celebrating to that. You're sort of like spiraling, right? The learning that's happening within your staff. Like we teach these things to teachers to do with students, but we don't do it with the adults, which makes no sense. Amplify then is how are we going to take this even further? So now that I'm seeing this awesome thing, I've talked about why it matters. I've connected it to the school values. Then I challenge my team, like, how can we if this is great, how do we 10X it? What else could we do? And you have a conversation about that. And then the last piece, which is communicate, is like, how do you tell the story? Because so often you celebrate, like everybody's excited, you get that hit of dopamine, and again, it's gone. Tell that story in the newsletter, on the school podcast, right? Through social content, in passing conversations, telling parents, you think about all the different ways, but that's how you use it. And that's the positive spotlight tool. So do that more, you're going to have a really strong, school culture. That's a pretty deep question, but I just want to give you a really practical thing you could start tomorrow if you wanted to.
Great information, Danny. Thank you so much. All right, fam. If you're loving what you're hearing and Danny's giving us some great tidbits here today, smash that like button, share this episode, and hit follow so that you don't miss a thing. And be sure to follow our friend at Josh Tovar on YouTube for even more content. And as a matter of fact, go ahead and put down hashtag collaborate, hashtag keep it simple. As Danny stated, go ahead and do those things for us. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, real quick, some shameless plugs for some books of people that I really admire. Right here, Sean Kane, Our Campus is all Fundamental 5, all 100%. It's about how to coach teachers. We do a fabulous job. I highly recommend this if you got new team members on your campus. Superintendent, Dr. Glenn Robbins, the Stoics. You all need it right now. That cheerleading mom, she's letting you have it. I know that. That basketball mom that wants her kid to be the starter and not the off the bench, you need to read this. The Stoics. It'll keep you focused.
That's my third bestseller too.
Oh, that's right. You were reading. That's right. I forgot. That's right. That's right.
So you could read that in less than an hour. That's one of those airplane books. We made it intentionally short so that you can go through it. But we teach the Stoic virtues, so courage and wisdom and some other stuff. But how to deal with the madness that you're gonna face as an editor. So pick that one up.
My bad, Danny. I forgot it was you and Glenn. That's right. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
His other book, what we talked about earlier, The Dark Side of Education, where administrators are told you will never be a principal. You are not good enough to do this. But he ties it into famous artists that were told you will never be successful. What a great bridging book right there. Nice size. We love these kind of books in education. Classroom discipline. We're hearing it right now. 6-7. 6-7, baby. So if you got a 6-7 issue with a brand new team member, Kevin Curtis shows you how to do it in the classroom, at the campus and district level with how to one ABC kind of style book. You got to love this cat. Restorative Circles also. Jimmy Casas book right there. Great book for all of you to purchase right now. Stocking stuffers. And if you want 23 stories, hey, Danny, promote your book right now. Bring out any books that you got. If you have 23 stories from 23 educators, Barbara Bray, yours truly, chapter 23, finishing off the book on the great things that happen at Socorro High School and Memorial Pathway Academy right here. And we also have it in audio. All the authors of every chapter recorded the audio. First time ever right here. You get to hear this annoying voice, but you got to buy it. You got to buy it right there. Danny, any books right there you'd like to let people know about?
No, I'll tell you, I cleared out my office, right? So I brought everything out of it, and I'm being really intentional about what I bring back in. So I haven't brought any books outside of Power into this office yet. So yeah.
So that's the next question right there. Just real quick. I know that you've authored many books. What would you like to tell? And mainly the focus of this podcast are for brand new people, brand new
Okay.
educators. That's why I always bring in people with experience to coach the brand new novices right there, and people that are 1 or 2 years. So,
Hmm.
what do you recommend from any of your library or people that you've connected with for new novice, either an educator in the classroom, because we have a lot of alt certs right now, tons of alt certs that did not go through the traditional way, or brand new administrators, because we're leaving my generation, us 30 people, we're leaving. We're hasta la vista. So, but people are getting
Adios.
elevated. They're getting elevated without having the years of experience under their belts.
Hmm.
So, what do you recommend out there that you've brought to the table that people can look into?
So I'm leading a new team right on campus, and I'm the principal. Josh, you're my AP. I brought you out of the bus barn, so now you're working with me, and I want to teach you about our core values, what our school's about, where we're going. So it's a pretty intense, really important meeting, and we're talking and talking and talking, and then there's a knock at the door, right? Um, it's actually Dr. Tillman, and she's looking rough, actually. She's upset. She's upset because she's the counselor, and school starts tomorrow, and all the students don't have their schedules done. So she starts really ripping into us and letting us know like how bad of a year it's going to be and all this kind of stuff. Then I say, Dr. Tillman, remember rule number 6. She takes a big deep breath, and all that anxiety and worry, right, and stress, it disappears from her face. And she says, thank you, Danny. And then she leaves. All right. Josh, you look at me and you're like, what is going on? That's quite a transformation, right? But we don't address it. We keep talking about the different core values, the mission of the school, all the important work. And then there's another knock at the door. And this time it's Principal Cafele, right? And he was down working in the basement, and I guess the water main broke. And supposedly he doesn't know how to swim. And so he's really worried. He says, Danny, Josh, I'm going to drown. Students are going to drown. This school is going to be submerged. It's like the Titanic. We're all going down. I say, Principal Cafele, remember rule number 6. Now, he was looking as like distraught as Dr. Tillman when she entered, but all the pain, the worry, the stress disappears from his face. Takes a deep breath. He says, thank you, Danny, and he leaves. Now, you are shocked at this point, Josh. You've seen 2 people at their wits' end completely turn around just by the mention of rule number 6. And I try to keep teaching you about the core values and the direction we're going as a school. And then you've had it. So you slam your hands on the desk and you say, Danny, what is rule number 6? And I tell you, Josh, it's very simple. Rule number 6 is don't take yourself too seriously. And then you ask me, all right, I get it. That's a really powerful rule, Danny. What's rules 1 through 5? Josh, there's no other rules. So that's what I tell new people.
Right?
You could actually see it
Right.
right there.
It's
That
so
guy.
true.
He's
Oh
goofy.
my.
That one, rule number 6.
Oh my God, Danny, you're so right about that. I don't know. Us old people right here, we've seen so many people change when they get a fake title.
Yeah.
When they get the fake title and they get the chair. I'm like, bro, you weren't like that before, bro. Calm down. Bro,
You don't even need.
we used to talk
don't even
in
need it.
Applebee's and share beers. and now you're principal this. Hey, bájale. In Spanish, bájale, calm down, bro. Settle down.
Yeah.
The best compliment I get always is like, you haven't changed since you were a teacher.
I
You
love it.
cannot fake the funk, baby.
Mhm.
You be you, and everyone will always know. No, that's that cat right there. That guy's receipts are always legit from the classroom to right now. Obviously, you change your tools for the
Mhm.
position that you're in.
For sure.
But bro, you gotta be you.
Thank you.
Mm.
Very
You can't
good.
be
You.
kissing up, man.
Thank you.
But I
Thank
leave that on the side. And you know what? I'm sorry, but these are just facts from people that have been in the trenches. Just like Dana
Mhm.
Goodyear says, you're in the trenches, and we know you're going to be on her podcast. She mentioned you. Just know that we need to stay real, and that is what brings you the street cred with everybody. As long as you're consistent with every single last person in a positive way, it doesn't matter what obstacle is in there. Just remember, don't take yourself that seriously because this too
Mm.
shall pass. Stick.
Very good, very good. So, Danny, on your podcast, you spotlight social equity and women in leadership. I love that. Tell us about, or tell our audience your feelings on these topics.
Well, that's a big question. Uh, it's obviously important, right? I I I I, I think about my status as a white male quite a bit, and how can I how can I just pass them? I have a microphone, and it's a big microphone, and so how can I share that microphone with so many voices that matter deeply, right? And so that's why I try to think about that in terms of guests, the types of books that we read, um, the content that we're discussing within the mastermind. We had a women's only and a leader of color only mastermind for about 2 years. And just because of changes in membership and stuff like that, we've integrated everybody together again, right? With the team, I got a coach team, that kind of thing. But it deeply matters. My mom will tell you, which is really funny. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, right? So Palatine, Illinois, and I had a few experiences that I found really interesting, like going through them. One, I was on the basketball team, and that's where I would hang out with my black brothers. You know what I'm saying? There, but they were never in my classes. And I didn't ask them back then, like, why? Like, I didn't think much because I'm a dumb kid. You know, I'm just happy to be listening to music, and T Bone gives me the Walkman, and now I'm listening to like Arrested Development or something like that. Like, that's cool. Um, but I didn't think about like where did they disappear to during the school day. I saw them at gym, I saw them during lunch, I saw them at practice, and that's it. Right? So obviously there's tracking and that kind of thing going on. Then when I was at University of Illinois, my favorite professor, Professor Willis, changed my life because she challenged us to think deeply about these things, and I learned about privilege and what that means. And um, unlike some of my colleagues, I didn't have the reaction of I've worked for everything that I've earned, and all. You know how that goes. Um, it's not to say I haven't worked hard, but there's stuff going on that's systemic. Um, so she had a huge impact on me, and so much so, I said my mom would tell you this. Right out of college, I go, Mom, I'm never working in the suburbs, right? And so straight out of college, I went down to Atlanta. I was actually in Marietta, which is a suburb, but that was a predominantly black school. In Champaign Urbana, it was a nice mixed group of kids. Obviously, I've worked in Chicago for quite a while, and interestingly, the only school that chased me out of town was an affluent white school. So, whatever. Yeah, so it's just kind of baked into my DNA, and I think that's why it matters. And I still make a lot of mistakes, and I still do stupid things and say stupid stuff, but I try to learn from that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers the question adequately. But I'd like to think that it's a priority to me and in my heart.
Thanks, Danny. Yes.
Oh man, what you are a ruckus maker, and you know what? The best way to finish with a ruckus is with a lightning round. A lightning round set of questions, Danny. We never share the questions with a guest except for these ones because we want you to echarle ganas. You know what ganas is, Danny? You've heard that before. You've been in.
Lo siento. You've said it, but I no entiende.
There's only one word that connects us. People think that all Hispanics are the same. We're not. We don't speak the same Spanish, but one word is a monolith, ganas. It's a universal word for every single Puerto Riqueño, Cubano, Boliviano, Ecuadoreño, El Salvadoreño, Mexicano. We all use the same word, ganas. It is a spiritual word between generations. An abuelita will yell to her grandchild, échale ganas, mija, as she plays mariachi. A mom will yell, échale ganas as her son throws touchdown in football. That's what I need right now, Danny. We are in the 6-7 December where a lot of people are getting very frazzled nerves. So I want you to motivate them, inspire them with these words. And it's a lightning round, brother, all right? Other than question
No
number
stories.
2.
I got it. Quick
All right.
answers.
Other than question number 2, because all the guests, they don't read the questions, and I'm like, bro, it's a lightning round. Don't make me be rude. All right, so here we go. Danny, here we go. Give advice to a new teacher.
Yeah, don't take yourself seriously.
Read a note, an email, a text from a parent, a colleague, or student that inspired you with their words.
I found one from Justin. It's pretty short. I got it 3 days ago, December 4th. I had a conversation with the head of school today about my role, about my job description, my time, my priorities, and how I'm feeling pulled in a million directions. A lot of books and conversations from the mastermind have helped inform how I view my work. I no longer see putting in more hours as a solution to this feeling. This is transformative to me. I very much feel like I'm feeling forward with this approach, but I feel like I've found a North Star here. Thank you.
Eso, qué bonito. I love it. Send some flowers to an active colleague who inspires you in your work.
I have a really good friend named Mitch Flower, or Mitch Flowers. I'm sending flowers to Mitch Weathers. He's out in California. He does organized binder, and he has a new book on executive functions coming out.
Name one person the audience should follow on social media that does what you do.
Nobody. Get off social media. I thought about this, and I thought about giving some, but especially how we started. Stop following. You just lead yourself, and stop with letting the whole social media program your brain. It's just driving me nuts. I want to shake some people.
Love it. What would be your fantasy Christmas vacations for you and your family?
That's easy. We're going to Zimbabwe, and that's where my wife is from. And so we obviously have a lot of family there. Plus, it is so cold in Syracuse, New York. In Zimbabwe, it's summer right now, right? So I could get the sunshine, just be out there in beautiful Harare. I know just enough Shauna to be dangerous. So I'll just leave it at that. We would go to Zim for sure.
Tell the audience about that one-hit wonder that you love.
I don't follow one-hit wonders or love them.
Ooh, which movie is better? National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Home Alone 3.
Stop there. That's how fast the lightning round is. Once I saw
Why did I
National
know
Lampoon's,
that you were going to say that one? What is
the Bears, right? Like the Bears, Chicago, and that was me last year because all that family I just told you about, they came here.
Really?
And we had so many people under this roof, and we got a nice house. But there was a lot of people, and it was just like the movie. But no cats were harmed.
Right.
I don't have a cat, that's why. And my dog, that wasn't harmed either. So thank God.
What's your favorite Christmas song, sir?
Jimmy Smith's Jingle Bells. Jimmy Smith is a 60s jazz organist, and that's the best Christmas album too, by the way. So.
And how can people get a hold of the Ruckus Maker?
Yeah, well, betterleadersbetterschools.com, ruckusmakers.news, my cell's 312-788-7595. So, that's the ways to reach me, and it's up to you if you want to connect.
Thank you, Danny. Don't hang up after the call right now. And I'd like to thank everybody out there. We really appreciate you being here, my beautiful and awesome co-host, for being here today out of North Carolina. Dr. Tillman, thank you. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. But most importantly, thank you, audience. Whether you watched it live or you're going to watch it later on, you know what? One thing that's not guaranteed in life is time. And you've given this podcast some of your time. And I appreciate you because remember, you're not alone. You're in the best profession out there. And there's so many different things out there. And most importantly, we know money's not out there for educators. We are broke. The days of PO are over. It's about finding different avenues. And right now, you have the mastermind. You have the Ruckus Maker right here. You have all of these other individuals with podcasts, Edutopia, Education Week. You're not alone. You choose to be alone, but you're not. There's so many other avenues that will ensure your success, because if you're successful, your babies will be successful. That means that this beautiful country, this beautiful melting pot, that this immigrant took advantage of everything to make it better. So please reach out to every single last person out there on this podcast, on other shows, whatever it is, so that you can sharpen your axe. Because the longer that you have a sharpened axe, the less tired you will be, and you won't be fighting these battles that you have right now in December. Make sure that you stay a hold of the Fantastic Four, on Super Saturday and on Sunday. And join us next week for episode 84, our teacher roundtable number 4. What a better time to have teachers come and talk. Oh my God, what are they going to tell me next week? We've got Chris Wells, Clemencia Acevedo, Arcelia Austri, David James, and Kenny Davis will be joining us, letting us know their thoughts of being in this beautiful profession. We care about you. We love you. And thank you for being here. Please make sure that you like and share the show. Mr. Danny, thank you for being here. Let's say goodbye to the audience.
See you. Thank you so much.